Hello everyone, this is D1 here, and today we are going to be comparing the two amazing Servo life-size witch animatronics that are on the market. Now this whole trend really started with Lilly on the right there last year, and there are also a couple other pieces with Servo as well, such as Yoda and the THD Cyborg. And this year there's been, of course, some new Servo pieces, along with a Tekky one on the left there. Before that, it was only SVI that was using the servos, and Pan Nation for a couple things, but different kind of servo. What makes these items in particular special is the blinking capability. Now, we didn't see blinking in the industry for well over a decade, with a few exceptions, like the YJ Headless Helped Spirit Halloween. What's different about these, however, is that both eyelids blink and it's part of the mask. So instead of the mask and then plastic eyelids that go down, it's actually part of the mask and it opens and closes that way. And so Lilly last year was absolutely incredible. There were some problems I had with it, but with the head and the movement and everything, it was just amazing, especially for the price. And this year, she is back online at HomeDepot.com, but not in store and online, or it seems at select stores at this point. You have the Siren Witch, or the Servo Sea Witch by Tekky. This is Tekky's first Servo piece, and there are a lot of differences between these two items. There are some that I like and some that I don't like as much, but there's a lot to look at with these women here. But right off the bat, I will say that the creepy cloth on Lilly is not all original, because I'll be honest, when I took her out, the creepy cloth was not in her box, and I went to find some that I thought was it, and it's close enough, but it's not quite it, but you get the same idea. So I just wanted to make that clear. And if she does wobble at any point, it's because that area of the floor is not the most level. But right off the bat, just looking at these two characters, there's some pros and cons just instantly. So the shaping is much better on the Tekky one, in my opinion, for the body. The height is better on the Tekky one as well, in my opinion. This one is 6.5 feet tall, which is already a lot for a female, and this one is 7 feet. And I'm purely going off of realism, where like a mutant monster, okay, this is sounding weird, like if I saw a witch, it would be much more likely that, like in real life, if witches were real in that sense, these kinds of characters, it would be much more likely that I would see one that is 6'5" than 7 foot. So that's just a little thing. It doesn't really matter in the long run too much. They're still enormous items. Something that I do like better, and I will elaborate on this a bit with Lilly, is the accessories. So I basically mean the staff, and I think it's cool that she has the basket with the frog and the potion bottle in it. That's just a neat touch. It's not necessary, but I do like it. But the really critical difference is with the staff. So the staff is just much better executed, in my opinion, on Lilly. So she does have the green lights running through it and projecting on her face instead of lights in her face, which is a neat effect. I do like it. And then the staff assembles with a twist lock method, like the old Jimmy Cauldron Witch sticks do. And one of the first companies, aside from Jimmy, to use twist locks was Tekky. However, they did not give the Siren Witch twist locks for her staff. I made a whole separate video about how they used the plastic tab snap locks on this, which normally is fine for Tekky items. However, there is no means to access this, and therefore no means of taking the staff apart. So what I did is I broke these off, and you might be worried when you hear that, but the staff is just as sturdy as it was before. You can still carry or pick her up, etc. The staff won't swivel around because there's a little groove that Sorry, this is not the best one to be taking apart, but there's a little groove in the back that lines up, and the arm has a little metal tab holding it in place. And then there's a little support thing on the base, just like with Lilly. So there is no need for the individual pieces to snap lock into each other. Now, I like the staff better on this just because of, I love that I don't have to modify my item to take it apart, especially after I've already assembled it. But I do also prefer that the lights would be in the staff projecting on the face than in the eyes. However, I think it does kind of work with the eyes lining up on this one. Her eyes don't light up, which adds to the realism, and her eyes are multi-axis. That is the only real mechanical advantage, I would say, that the SVI one has over the Tekky one. This one's eyes are not multi-axis, but they are capable. They literally did it in a 12-foot item this year. But this one has multi-axis eyes, which are really cool. And the animation styles are very different. This one's animation is more rapid-paced. It's a lot quicker. She does squint as well as blink, so does this one. But everything on her moves a lot quicker. The mouth movement is very rapid on Lilly. And with the Siren Witch, it's more slow. Everything is more fluid, I would say, on the Tekky one than the SVI one. And that just comes down to a preference, really. Obviously, the eyes are winning for this one here, mechanically speaking at least. But the mechanics, I would say, are programmed better on this one. Now, when it comes to the audio, I personally like the audio on the Siren Witch more. However, she only has one phrase. And she was going to have two. She had, in the initial videos from Lowe's, the Tekky films, she had the other phrase. At the manager's meeting, she had both phrases playing. And in production, we got one video, or one phrase, I should say, and then the video audio was silently changed on the Lowe's website. For unknown reasons, the other one was cut. The other one, some people think is better than the one that's here. I think they're both cool in their own ways, and hopefully one of us here can figure out, perhaps me or CJ Webler could figure out how to give her that second phrase again, and perhaps one day more phrases will surface. The reason I'm focusing on the phrase quantity with her so much is because Lilly has 5. Now, Lilly's voice is a very different style from this one. Her audio, I think, sounds a little compressed maybe compared to hers. I mean, hers is crystal clear. And one of the 5 phrases is a laughing track, like most SVI items do have. Now, I do want to say that I prefer having more phrases than just one. Although, if you're doing an attraction, most people are going to walk by and just hear one phrase unless they go in for more. So if you're doing a big display, it may not matter as much, but it's always nice to have that variety. But like I said, hopefully sometime in the near future, this Siren Witch will have at least 2 phrases, if not more. So that's the audio. I've talked about the staffs, I've talked about the mechanics, and I talked a little bit about the body shaping. I just think this is better. Ironically, her neck may be a little too short and hers a little too long. But something really important to talk about now is the costume. The SVI items have been super impressive with the mechanics. However, in order to fit the price points, they have made the costumes kind of bad with the materials used. I mean, her costume does not look inherently bad, but it's just not the best. I mean, this kind of felt material is all right, but the problem is that it is lined with this stuff. You might call it hospital gown material or landscaping fabric. But the main issue with this fabric is if it is left in heat, it will disintegrate, and it'll disintegrate bad. I saw it on a twitching banshee that was left in extreme conditions, and I even saw it on my bent knee monster who was not left in extreme conditions. That piece was left in maybe moderately warm temperatures at the most, and his pants just started falling apart. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that material. It can last. It's just like, it has the potential to be terrible. And we're seeing that on a lot of items lately from all companies, and I'm not a big fan of it. And it's just the lining, but in some cases it's the entire costume is that material, which is just atrocious. Now this piece actually has zero of that fabric at all. In fact, the fabric is so thick and nice quality that there's not even any lining on it. It doesn't need to be lined with anything. On top of that, you have a little creepy cloth, but it's not like a main focal point of the piece, it's just a little addition. And you have this really neat kind of netting material to look nautical. So her costume is excellent quality for 2024. And this costume is unfortunately pretty standard for a lot of companies. And you'll see with Chucky and THD 3000, Yoda not as much, but with these Servo pieces, Captain Cuts, the Frankenstein, the costuming is just not that great. Like if I do get the Frankenstein's monster, I'll probably be giving it a new costume. And that's just the reality of it all. You know, it's an excellent price for the Home Depot stuff, but when you get the SVIPs, you might have to change the costume. This is perfection with the costume. There's nothing I would really change about it. I also really like how it sprawls out along the floor and completely covers the base. With this, it's kind of hard to do so. Like this honestly just feels so much more menacing looking. Perhaps that's a benefit of the staff. It's more angled and twisted, and this is more narrow. I'm not the biggest fan of this. It's a cool design. It's just the sculpt is very smooth looking, and like I said, I had to modify it to not be a nightmare. So I am going to prefer this staff, but this is just so much more imposing than her. You know, she's cool, she's a talking piece, like she'll start conversations, but this is just like stunning. Like this is just so much nicer looking in that regard. The hair is a nicer quality on the Tekky one. This has that typical SVI hair, which I don't know what the method of this is or what to call it, but where you can see these waves. You can even think like Uncle Charlie, Creepy Towering Clown, you'll see these little waves in there. Like, it's not terrible, but it's just notably cheaper. It gets matted easier, and it just kind of looks strange. And while this is a little bit shiny, this hair is ultimately better quality in my opinion. There is more hair on this, but it's not really needed because of the hood on this one. And I am going all in with all the details, so there's no questions left after this. So here we are going to look at the hands. These hands do have a little more detail on the sculpt, I believe. These are more watered down, but I think these hands are a better size. I mean, she's freakish. Like, you can see how she has these huge hands and then these really skinny tube arms and this really long neck. So she's kind of creepy in that way with her proportions. And the proportions on this one just make more sense. I'm trying to think if there's anything else besides the material of the face. So on all of the Servo pieces, except for Lethal Lilly, it uses a material called TPR, which is like in those googly worms and stuff, those puffer balls, those little toys, and it's really elastic material and really stretchy. Lethal Lilly seems to use a soft PVC material. It's a much thicker material. But those are both good materials. This one is really different from anything we've ever seen. The detail on the skin is really nice, especially with all the coloration and whatnot. It has that kind of realistic feel to it. You can tell it's a bit smoother of a sculpt, but in a way I think it actually kind of benefits her. And she is made of balloon in her face. And it's like, what do you mean? You know those traditional little single color balloons you get a pack of 20 of and you blow them up for a birthday party. That is what her face is made of. So it's a form of latex, but it's very different. And maybe I'm wrong on this, but it feels the same and it smells the exact same as the balloons. So with typical latex in the Halloween industry, it will dry rot. Balloons will not dry rot really, but they can melt over time. You know, they can melt if they're in a lot of heat or whatever. It just depends on the quality. So I'll say that this is better quality than normal latex, but it doesn't seem to be TPR. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just really seems like those balloons, and it smells the same even. I'm not going to say it's bad material by any means. It's quite nice. The teeth are actually a very thick pour, but that's just, it's interesting, you know, but they are different materials, but they're both nice. And yeah, I think that's about it. She does have a lights only mode, and then she has infrared sensor only, and then I believe a sound sensor as well. So you can change that up, but there is no lights only mode on her, I don't believe. These do light up and this arm moves. That's another thing, I'm forgetting stuff somehow. This one has a moving arm, and this one does not move the body at all. So it's a trade-off. You either get a moving arm or multi-axis eyeballs, but otherwise the movements are the same. I'll just do a quick side profile view here. So she is just a really, her proportions are crazy. They really are. This is actually a very realistic looking position here. And you know, if you're looking from right here, you might think it's a real person. And these are just a little, I guess, harder to believe. She's very cylinder-esque all around. And another thing, I keep thinking of things that are different. The bases are pretty different. This is a better quality base, it seems. And she has 2 leg poles, whereas Lilly has only 1. Although she has a little support thing that goes up to give extra support to the 1 pole, it's still 1 pole. And that's just something else to point out. The last 2 things that I'll point out. She has outdoor use grade parts to her. So the adapter is outdoor rated, and there's even the little rubber cover on the toggle switch, which you find in an outdoor rated prop. The box says indoor covered porch use only, but that is interesting. So perhaps in a way she's outdoor proof after all. And she is just an indoor covered porch item all the way. And then the last thing, I know this is getting long, the last difference before we go into the activations are the packing. So here's the 2 boxes. This box is obviously smaller, however, she does weigh a bit more, I've noticed. This box is more narrow, but it is taller. And that again is coming down to a preference thing. This cardboard, I think, is, yeah, it's a bit thicker than her cardboard, so this is a more durable box. And then here's the packing materials for Lethal Lilly on the inside. I believe there might have been 1 more cardboard insert, but that's about it. Here's the packing for the Siren Witch by Tekky. As you can see, there's a lot going on here. You have the head in a box, you have a box around the module, you have a box with the hands and staff poles, and then all of those different pieces are twist tied in several areas throughout this slide out insert. So it's a lot more of a process to unpack everything, but it's a lot more stable and secure for shipping. Not everything isn't just kind of thrown in there, and it's also easier to fit everything back in. There's not as much of a puzzle, if you will, especially if you didn't keep all the insert boxes. It would be a much more smooth process to just put it all back in. But overall, there's a lot more packing to the Tekky one, but the box is larger. So with that, I think that is about it. So now all we have to do is demo them. I turned her volume down some. I don't remember what hers is at, just because, you know, the mechanics are, I think, louder on her, but her volume gets so loud and so clear. Plus she has a speaker jack, which I don't remember if this one has or not. You know, it doesn't matter as much if this is noisier, because when it's turned up louder, you can't even hear any of the mechanics. But I'm gonna do some demos here on this camera, and then I'll switch over to my phone camera just because it gives off a different experience. But without further ado, we'll find the adapters here. So I'll plug in the Siren. They both take a 5.9 volt. I'll plug in her.
Halloween! Oh, the stars are in perfect alignment tonight. It must be nearly time to help the spirits arise. Oh, I'm so happy you've come to help celebrate. And so have all my critters slithering around your feet.
You can see the mouth is much more aggressive.
Now, let's be careful in this swamp. There are lots of snakes and spiders that would just love to sink their teeth into you. Now, come along into my lair. I'll be sure to take good care of you, my pretty. Oh, you want to leave? It's well known that those who enter my lair never leave. Now, come along. I've been waiting for you for quite some time. And dearie, you'll be fine. A fine potion to make me immortal.
I'll turn up her volume a bit more just to match.
Two from the sea, one from the air. I've been done with a new potion, and it just needs few ingredients that you one eye, a liver, a steamer, when your face is still in its trouble, be quick, and mostly a little. Did you know I lived hundreds of years? I know. Stop considering my birthday. Don't you to run when your fate is sealed in this trouble.
Alright, now I'm going to do some shots in dim lighting and then in the complete dark. Alright, I'm on my phone now, and I'll just do some close-up shots real quick of both with this camera.
When your fate is sealed in this trouble. Oh, you want to leave? It's well known that those who enter my lair never leave. Now come along. I've been waiting for you for quite some time. And dearie, you'll be fine. A fine potion to make me immortal. I've been brewing a new potion. Need a few ingredients that you seem to have. One eye, a liver, a femur, and I promise that it will be quick and mostly painless. When your fate is sealed in this trouble. When your fate is sealed in this beauty is made. When your fate is sealed in this trouble. Wait, immortal I smell? Please come closer and let me get a good look at you. Oh, dear, what's happened to your face? If you like, I can tell you in your tone it would be a definite upgrade, I think. Siren, sir. Boil and bubble. It's useless to run when your fate is sealed in this trouble. Happy Halloween. Oh, the stars are in perfect alignment tonight. It must be nearly time to help the spirits arrive. Oh, I'm so happy you come back and celebrate. And so have all my Christmas dust slithering around your feet. Star and star, boil and bubble. It's useless to run when your fate is sealed in this trouble. Be careful. There are lots of snakes and spiders that would just love to sink their teeth into you. Now, come along into my lair. I'll be sure to take good care of you, my pretty.
So yeah, that was the ultimate comparison between the Tekky 2024 Siren Witch or Servo Sea Witch and the SVI 2023 and 2024 Lethal Lilly. The final part I'd like to discuss about these guys is the price. So Lowe's this year overall has been some of the highest with pricing, and Home Depot has been some of the lowest. Lethal Lilly last year retailed for $250, and that was the first instance of this technology in the industry, so all of that would have been more expensive to develop initially, and she was still only $250. The Siren Witch is $380, so that's over $100 more for the Siren Witch. And I experienced that today when I bought her. So that's a big difference there. Now, a lot of this comes down to preference. Me personally, I feel that the Siren Witch is overall a better quality build than Lethal Lilly is. I do like that she has cotter pins for stuff. to help hold them in place. I do like her accessories. But at the same time, I think that this one has a lot more thought put into the program. It's just one phrase, but even with the unused phrase, there is thought in the program. I love how when she laughs at the end, she slowly arches her head back and slowly squints, like characters do in movies and cartoons when they do an evil laugh. I think there's just so much life in this program. This program, it's really cool, but I feel like a lot of the movements are programmed. I think I should have said a lot of the movements seem randomized. At times, some of the programming seems intentional, but a lot of it just seems like, going through the sequences and just kind of doing this and that wherever. So when it comes to realism, naturally, a living person is not going to have lights in their eyes. And some people hated it when they saw it at first, but I actually think a cool concept with it is that if you see her in the dark, you actually see her slowly squint at you and then blink at you. So it's like she notices you and locks on. And then when she rises her hand up, if you're in the complete darkness, you won't expect the nails to light up. I know it's a little unusual, but at the same time, it's an unexpected effect. And a lot of people, this stuff is becoming more and more mainstream every year. So if they just see a witch, they're not going to expect the nails to light up or something. So it really does come down to preference. I do think that obviously this is a much better price. I do like the multi-axis eyes. However, I just really enjoy this piece. I love the audio a bit more, I would say. The little that we do get though. I like the build, except for this, which I had to change up. The clothing is better. You don't need to really do anything to this to make it ideal. Audio aside, of course. I had to do this, but with Lilly, if I wanted to add realism, I would probably have to change some of the proportions up. I'd have to get new clothing, which would be hard because of her unique proportions. Look at that. And if I took all this off, just look at that build there. I don't know, something's off about it. But yeah, better value by far, but is it worth it to kind of jump the gun and get the Siren Witch? I think it is. And I've seen ones with better mouth movement than this. For example, the store display at the store I went to today. So that was kind of sad because that one's mouth seemed to move better. But this one still moves pretty good. And if you have the money, get both, because why not, right? They both bring different things to the table. This is a green witch, but at the same time, which is more common in culture, but at the same time it's a siren sea witch, which is less common. And this is kind of, a more human colored witch, I guess, than green. So it's just different vibes, She is more swampy, she's more from the ocean, but she could also be from the swamp, they work together well. So if you have the money and you can get both, I recommend getting both. Overall though, I do think that this is probably, give it other phrases, and this is the better item. I just wish it wasn't with tax, like $400, because that $400 without tax is how much the 12-foot bone collector is, and he has multi-axis eyes. So my main issue is the price and the lack of phrases here. Otherwise, this is superior. But for $250, this is an absolute steal in today's market, given the accessories, all of the movements, and all of that. So all in all, I think they're both incredible pieces. This was a game changer for the industry, and this is just an example of innovating on what has already been done. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is probably way too long of a video, but my goal here was to make sure that you didn't have to go anywhere else to find any comparisons. But all in all, I hope something was useful from this, and I hope you enjoyed. And now I have to take these apart and put them back in these boxes, which is just going to be fun. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.